things. A few things.
So all we did was add those couple lines, and we have this really cool user interface where I can see all the different actions my trips controller exposed, right? And then all the actions from that base values controller that's still lingering out there. But I can click like get, and it shows me here's what it's going to look like when you make this request. And we can actually try it out and see what the response looks like here in this user interface. So this is a great way to document and share what your API looks like to other folks so that they can interact with it easily.
Yeah, and one thing I'll mention is, just as a side note, this does hit actual data. So as you'll see right there in your response body, that's the stuff that you actually typed. It's important to note that
Oh
if
yeah.
you're putting this on a production system, it will hit your actual data. So if you're doing deletes, like, hey, let me test this, it will delete your data. So if you're building out this stuff as a harness for your other developers to look at, only do it against test data. So use that environment variable that Jeff and I were talking about earlier to control whether or not this is exposed. Right? You can say like if
Oh,
you
great point. Let
go
me go back over to Visual Studio.
go back to that configure, and right in that little area where it says if is in development, use an environment like if is staging or something,
So
then
what if we
use
do that?
Swagger.
Let's do it. If I say if, well, the user interface, right? That's particularly.
Yeah, so just move that stuff.
So if we say if env, and then here I can say is development,
Hmm.
or env is staging, and then just wrap this.
Yeah.
Format that a little bit. Cool. So now it'll only make that user interface available when we're in development or staging. And we've kind of skipped over that, but there's a property that you can set as an environment variable right here, ASP.NET Core underscore environment, and it
Hmm.
defines that we're in development. If this environment variable isn't set, it defaults everybody to production.
Yep.
So you can kind of block things that way.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff. All right. I think that's where we wanted to get to for this first module.
Cool.
So what I'm going to do, while I still have you here on stream, I'm going to create a new repository. It's coming. Wouldn't it stink if GitHub went out on me? I'm just going to call this trip tracker. Public, put a README in it, sure. Give me a git ignore for Visual Studio. License, we want Apache. I don't need any patents or anything on this. So there's that, and I am going to start up a... nope. Yeah, that's the name of my folder. That's where I put it. I'm going to start PowerShell so I can get PoshGit running here. Cool. Git remote add origin, that new location. I'm going to git commit everything that we have here. Let's add everything first, right?
That would be helpful.
Yeah. All right. And I'll just tag this as first module with Shane. And I'll actually tag it module 1. I'm going to need to pull first. Yeah. There I go. Origin. Easy for me to type. Cool. And then push it back up. Oh, no. Isn't it, I did this yesterday. It was, ignore something. I did a git pull, and it merged. Oh, no. It's the pull, and then it's... I forget what it is. I just did this yesterday and on a stream, and it's like ignore something. or allow. I forget what it's called.
You're trying to do a fast forward? What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get it to merge. I pulled their unrelated histories here. It's like allow something. And I always have a problem with Git on stream. There it is. Allow unrelated histories. It's just because it was created separately.
Oh, I see.
Ugh, I did it again.
Looks like somebody in the chat room gave you that.
Yeah, there it is.
There.
Automatic merge failed. Are you kidding? Ugh. Both added git ignore. All right. What do I want to do here?
That's it. We're moving to FTP.
Moving to FTP. Everybody do FTP now. We don't care about anything else.
Dropbox for the win.
Absolutely. I'm going to accept the current stuff. Oh, man. There's how many of these? Are you kidding?
What'd you do?
Oh, my God.
You have a conflict in the git ignore. That is priceless.
That is. How does this happen?
DNX? We still have DNX in our git ignore? I
know. Can you believe it? And look, the merge things are not here. What happened? Now I've really done it. Let me do this.
Team City.
Oh no, Team City?
That's right. Noobcat's correct. Everything weird happens while streaming.
Oh yeah.
Suze is correct.
I'm going to get rid of this DNX nonsense. We don't have no DNX. Chutzpah? No, I don't have chutzpah. Are you kidding? Oh my gosh. Crunch is a great tool.
You know you can fix the merge conflicts in Git now? Like on the web UI?
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
It's fantastic.
They've done a great job there with that. There's more? Oh, are you kidding? No, you know what? I do want node modules.
Julie, that's so true. Especially when I'm presenting, I forget how to type. Like I can't find the keys to save my life.
That's what makes me special. Is I can just No.
Or
I can type and talk at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's where we wanted to get to. We're there.
Jeff, you're just trying to color in all the green boxes on your profile. This guy's an open source madman.
Look at this. So, true story, when we're doing MVP reviews, we look at, well, how much green do they have? It's like,
I don't know how I got MVP for so many years. Like, ridiculous.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I will see you later today when we get to deploying everything that we build here, so we can blame Julie and John and myself later when we go to deploy it and we giggle about it later.
Yeah, I'm even wearing my Docker shirt for that, so that's just for you.
You are set. And I'm wearing my Ignite Microsoft shirt, so. Okay. All right. Very cool. Thanks so much, Shane. I will catch you later.
Yep.
See
Thank you, sir. All right, bye.
Bye. All right. So what I want to start in here with is we real quick made this trip object. Let's actually start storing it in a database and fetching it and using it like you would expect. Sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable.
All right.
So I have a couple of questions for you.
Shoot, fire away.
What data store would you like to use? We have many to choose from.
And right, isn't that kind of the great thing about entity framework and object relational mappers like that is I don't have to be coupled to a provider.
Right.
For the purposes of this, why don't we stay simple and go SQLite? That way
Yeah,
it'll work for our folks that are on Mac and want to watch and follow along as well.
Right. And another benefit is that it's much faster when you're doing things like modifying schema or creating the table, creating the database, or doing anything like that. It's just a lot faster than using a SQL Server
Oh my gosh, yes. Because
database.
I can just drop and delete the database and it'll just keep right on going.
Right.
So, all right. Tell you what, I'm going to delete this extra values controller that we don't need.
Okay. I have you pinned, but it doesn't seem to be moving around because all I see is startup right now. Oh,
Yep, that's
wait.
where I am. I'm in startup.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure.
Tell you what, why don't you talk us through how we configure Entity Framework for SQLite here in Configure Services, and then we'll create our context from there.
Well, before you can
Oh.
do it in the services, we'll need to be sure that we have access to the package. Now, you actually do have access to the package, but I just didn't want to be presumptuous. So if you open up, actually, wait, I could do it?
You can open
I
it.
could do it. Where's the CS proj? I see two CS proj. Oh, one's the user. Okay. Okay, so I'm opening up CS proj.
So CSproj is the project file, and here in Visual Studio, I have it labeled as triptracker.backservice.
And
So,
it's
I'm
no,
actually
I'm waiting for it to come up. For some reason, am I allowed to open files?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's just like,
It's just spinning.
yeah,
Right.
except it's not a spinner, it's something else, which is why I couldn't think of the word for it.
Tell you what, I'm just going to click edit on it so that everybody can see it over here. And if you pin me, let me know if you're able to get in.
นะครับ
and
วัน
see the
นี้ผมก็
file.
จะมา
I can't see the pin anymore.
ทิ้งไว้ใน
I'm just going to
description
close
นะ
it
ครับผม
and
วัน
see
นี้
what
เปิดผ่าน
happens.
คอม
Am I
นะครับ
still on
เปิด
live
ผ่านเบราว์เซอ
share?
ร์คอมนะครับ
Yes.
เป็นลิงก์จาก Google Drive นะครับเป็นลิงก์ของ xmirage นะครับ .ir นะครับก็กดดาวน์โหลดนะครับผมเมื่อดาวน์โหลดมาแล้วนะครับ
Okay,
ก็
you
แบบนี้
had
นะครับ
your
ผม
get
ให้
thing.
ทำการ
Now I'm
แตก
having
ไฟ
the
ล์
live
นะครับผม
share thing.
ก็จะได้ไฟล์ xmirage นะครับ
I'm not
แบบนี้
seeing
นะครับ
it
ผม
all.
We're using preview.
ก็เมื่อคุณได้มาแล้วนะครับก่อนเข้านั้นนะครับเราก็จะมีตัว
Oh, this worked just
Tại
fine
vì
the other
hả?
day. Can you
ดังนั้นก็
open up startup
ตำรวจสามารถ
again?
ตั้งได้นะครับ
Everything's
Để
closed on my end now.
นะครับขยายหน้าจอเป็น full screen นะครับอย่างนี้แล้วนะครับเพื่อทำการ render ไฟล์นะครับ export set
Tell you what, let me give you the. Do you still have the
ก็ผมจะ
live
มา
share
สอน
link?
ขั้นตอน
Oh
นะ
wait,
ครับที่จะ
I
ไล
just
ฟ์นะครับแบบ
clicked
คร่าวๆแล้วกัน
I
นะครับผม
just
ก็
clicked
อันดับแรก
the
นะครับ
live share thing
ก็
down
ให้
at the
เลือก
bottom and it just popped open.
Terrific.
Oh no, so I'm gonna click on CS Proj again and see what happens. I think it doesn't like me opening up the files. So I'm seeing startup. Can you open up the CS Proj again and see
Sure.
what happens?
So there was a question in the chat room. What is the CSproj file? So the CSproj file, this is the file that .NET uses to declare all the different components that you're going to use to build your application. And thank you so much to all the folks that are following, adding and following the stream here today. We really appreciate you joining us.
All right, it's
not letting you in as seeing it?
being jerky. I'm gonna try to just reconnect to the live share.
Okay.
New instance. Oh, this is disappointing because, when we did it the other day, it was like, oh, popping around, do this, do that. It was so cool. And now it's like being
Well,
jerky. Okay, it's
we didn't
joining.
actually get into the CSproj file. We did bop around into Razor files and some other class files. But we didn't quite get into this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's got issues.
Could be.
It's got issues. It doesn't like me. The target participant is not currently editing a shared document.
Oh, look at that.
That's what it's telling me.
So that makes me wonder if the CS project file is not something that you as a guest can edit.
Okay, well, why don't you open it up? Everybody else can see it.
Yep.
And what I wanted to point out was the ASP.NET all.
Right.
Package.
So here on line 12, there's a reference to that package.
And let's see, maybe I could. I'm just curious if it's going to do it again. No, it won't. It won't share that file. It's really interesting. So normally I would have to bring in the Entity Framework core packages and, you know, the ones that I want. So like I could start by saying the database provider that I wanted, for example, SQL and Microsoft Entity Framework Core. I'm just going to ignore that. SQLite. And then it would bring in whatever other packages it depends on. But in this case, we don't have to, because an ASP.NET Core project, the project template makes a reference to this package, which is, it includes like all of the packages you want. And with Entity Framework, it also brings in the SQL Server package and the SQLite package, along again with all the dependencies, relational, Entity Framework Core, etc.
So I'm going to expand my dependencies branch here inside the Solution Explorer and show underneath the NuGet dependencies, there's Microsoft ASP.NET Core All, and then you have all these packages that it references. And
Right.
here's that section with the Entity Framework references, and you can see, just like Julie was talking about, there's SQLite, there's SQL Server, and you can use these. They're just available there for you to use.
Right. So they're automatically, magically there, but I just wanted to explain the magic of that. And the other thing a lot of people worry about when they see that ASP.NET All is, oh my God, is it going to deploy all of those packages? I don't need all of those packages. So when you use the publish commands, or, you know, the tools for publishing, it will only publish the packages that your application is really using.
Yeah, we should call back to that with Shane a little bit later today when we do our deployment.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So that's already there, which is nice. And that's why we have an hour, so we can stop and talk about those things. So now we want to make sure our application is aware of that. So can you go ahead and open the startup, and I'll see if I can get back in sync with you. Okay, great. So